You come one time, it's not a right, it's not a proof. If you come 2 times, that means that you really believe in what we're doing, or you just like Rabbi Haber, but one or the other, they could both be true. Now, last night, Baruch Hashem, at the launch of the Harborside Kollel, we got to hear words from Rabbi Haber, tremendous iris and chizik, and proper hashkafas on the outlook of what a kollel is, what limud Torah is, how a person mis'amal, a person of meilus in Torah becomes their Torah, and it was mamash hafel of fellow. So I'm sure there's going to be a repeat even better than it was last night. It's a very big schus that we have, and a lot of people, Baruch Hashem, came to hear. Some told me he's one of the top rabbis in Torah anytime. But that means there's a lot more to him than that. That's a great schus. I'm not even on Torah anytime, so I'm like not even on the parsha. So they wouldn't accept. I tried, they wouldn't accept me. No, I'm just kidding. But to be one of the mamish was sought out, darshanim, speakers, rabbanim, and at the same time, Tak is saying emes and pushing people to verify, to steig and to grow. It's a murdic thing. Just before Rabbi Haber gets up, sorry, I saw you're moving, so I'm stopping you. That after Rabbi Haber speaks, we are continuing the sugya from yesterday, business involving selling and benefiting from forbidden items. Rabbi Krishna is now in Bel Harbor, but he'll be here later to give another share. I'm sure it'll be just as informative and maybe even more entertaining if it's even shaykh to be. We're learning the sources for the shir right after Rabbi Haber speaks, and there'll be a shir 11:15 plus lunch afterwards. We want to thank our sponsors for making it happen. Number one, Stock, Khan and Braverman, who are always there to be mechazik Torah, mechazik halacha, befrat business halacha, and they really created a whole revolution over here in South Florida to allow high-level lawyers who are mechunech, whatever, who are students or whatever, learned, educated in the American law system, at the same time also makbid and zayir in Yanei Chesed Mishpat and how to guide somebody in Yanei Chesed Mishpat. We appreciate their support of making our Chesed Mishpat happen and the Biz Halach initiative to happen. It's a big schus for us and for them to mishtatev, to be partners. And also, Shkrech Yashkrech to Fresco, Avram Getzel, for sponsoring the food. And all the Ilui Nishmases are in a different paper, so I can't say them right now. But Sajid Basrubi, that one I remember. Is that correct? Baruch Hashem. Who else? Pesach Ben Yehuda. Ben Sarah. Okay, and all the rest of them, Hashem knows who they are. They shall be gebenched and have a gewaldig and Eden. Shkrech with that, with no further ado, Rabbi Haber Yeshkrech.
Perfect. Thank you, Rabbi, very much. With the Rabbi and Rabbi Bludger together, what you've done here is a legend, and to actually be able to see it in person and see what's happened in the North Miami Beach Kollel. How many years is it? 15? How many years? Almost 18 years. But 18 years, and what it's done to the community, and what it's done. What are we doing? We're good? 18 years, and what it's done to the community, and what Torah learning has done to the neighborhood, and what it's done to the families, and each individual that's a part of this is really something incredible. And like I said, is it actually working, or am I talking to myself?
I can hear you for sure.
Yeah, either way. Monisha, okay. Yeah, it's working as a mic? Okay.
Yes.
Like this, you say? Got it. Okay. It really is a tremendous chus to be here. I sort of want to acknowledge something that happens, and I don't know if everyone here will relate to this problem. I know it's something that I felt very much. I learned in yeshiva all my life. Even though I'm a Syrian kid, I went to Lakewood Cheder as a kid. Then I learned to stand on yeshiva for 7 years. And then learned to brisk for a year, and then BMG for like 11. And when I'm in yeshiva, and when we were in yeshiva, all the Rabbeim are talking about how to be in yeshiva, how to stay in yeshiva, how important Limud Torah is to us and to our life, and to start off a life. Bahasmada, my wife, and only chose me because I was a masmid and because I knew how to learn. That was really what we valued, and that was really the most important thing in the world. And then at some point, you get up and you go out. You go to work. I wouldn't call what I did at work. I became a Rav, but still, it's not the regular routine. I didn't have first seder, second seder, night seder, and hopefully learning Bein Hastarim too. Interacting with people. And for most of us, I never got a playbook for that. My 10th grade Rabbi didn't tell me how to do it. When I was 6-7 years in college, I still never was taught how to do it. Even 8-9 years, and when I left, it was just, I decided I'm to the next stage. But no one said, by the way, here's the guidelines, here's what you do, and here's how you get it done. And because of that, I think all of a sudden we find ourselves in positions that we weren't really prepared for. We find ourselves in life, and life is a lot. No matter what age or stage you are, life is a lot. If you're working, you're managing a business or managing a job, and at the same time managing a spouse and children and a reputation and maybe chesed and learning, and you have so much on your plate. Maybe there's a crisis happening in your life, maybe there's even two. And there's just so many things that are happening, and how do I do this? Who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? So I think the answer lies in the title of the first Jew. The first Jew to ever live, Avraham Avinu, in the Torah is given a title. What is the title that the Torah gives our first forefather? It's not Avraham HaTzadik. It's not Avraham HaChacham. It's not Avraham Avinu even. It's not Avraham Avdi, Avraham Ahuvi. It's not. Instead, it's Avraham HaIvri. Avraham, who's on the other side of the river. Of all the great things of this incredible man, one of the most important, if not the most important person in the history of the world, that's his title. On the other side of the river. Why is that his title? And the answer, I think, is like this. The answer is that, you know, the Yetzer Hara has an interesting way of working. An interesting way of working is the Yetzer Hara never starts with a bang. Anyone here, are there any people in Florida that like have an addiction? Is that a thing? Anyone here has an addiction?
Only in New York.
Only in New York. It's only because they're just trying to park, they get drunk. But there's nothing here. There's no addictions here. Okay. I know some people with addictions. Gambling addictions, drug addictions, alcohol addictions, seeing inappropriate things addictions, coffee addiction. But you like coffee. You're showing me your addiction in your hand? It's right there. Is that cup number 1, 2, or 3? You're talking to a person who hasn't drank a cup of coffee in like 40 years. I'm not exaggerating. One time in yeshiva I tried it. Maybe it's 35 years. One time. So I don't have a coffee addiction. So how does it happen? No one wakes up in the morning one day and says, I want to be an addict. The answer is in the first pasuk in Tehillim. The pasuk says, Asher ish asher lo halach be'atzas yishayim u'b'derech hatayim lo yamar u'mashav leitzim lo yosha. What does it mean? Praise is the person doesn't go in the path of the Rishayim, doesn't stand with them, and doesn't sit with them. Zok the Gemara Rabbi Desar, what does that mean? That means the way the Yetzer Hara works is first he pulls you and he's passing by quickly. Just take a quick drink. He's halach. Then he's amad. He's standing there with you a little bit, hanging out. Next thing you know, he's yoshav. He's sitting and he owns you. What I just said, everybody's aware of. Everybody's aware that the Yetzer Hara starts slow. And that's why everybody warns their 9, 10-year-olds and their 15-year-olds, their 20-year-olds. Be careful with the wrong friend. Be careful, go to that person's house. Make sure you don't watch that. Make sure someone doesn't hand you that, because we're warning our children all the time, because we know how the game works. We know that it starts slow. In fact, when you want to decide if you should allow your child to do something, don't ever look at it for what it is. Look at it for what it's going to be. That when people get their kids an iPhone, the kid's 9 years old. Why are you getting your kid an iPhone? Now it doesn't work. Fine. Why are you getting your kid an iPhone? And I'll say, because it's dangerous. The streets of North Miami, they're very dangerous. So he has to have a phone so he could call home. And they think they're getting their kid a device to protect them from the danger of the streets. That is so clueless. What you're getting your kid is a device that he's going to sit on the couch with in 2-3 years from now, completely addicted to. Because it's not about what it is, it's about what it's going to be. It's going to go from halach to amar and yashav. And everybody here agrees with me, right? Do you agree with me? You have to be careful. Make sure you don't give your kid a cigarette. You won't give your kid a cigarette to smoke because you don't know what it's going to lead to. And you be careful about allowing him to drink because you don't know what it's going to lead to. And you be careful about what you allow your kid to see because you don't know what it's going to lead to. And most of us think that at some point we graduate from the danger. I'm 30, 40 years old. I'm not really susceptible anymore. The main challenges happen when you're young. What you don't realize is that halach is coming by all the time. There are people all of a sudden in their 40s that start to have some distraction, some little temptation that they never expected before, they were never susceptible to before. And what we don't realize is that very often something could enter into our life at these stages. And we don't realize how strong we have to be. So you know where you need to be? You know where you need to be in your life? You know where you need to be in your office? You know where you need to be on a business trip? You need to be an ivri. You need to be a person who could watch everyone else do one thing, and you're on the other side of the river. You do it your way. Avraham Avinu, before he was a Gadol b'Torah, before he was the greatest Maimon, before he was anything, before he was the Chacham and the Tzaddik, before anything, he was an Ivri. He was able to stand apart from everybody. The strength, the characteristic that's required when life, so to speak, gets what they call real. When life becomes, you're going into the workforce and you have children and you're marrying off children and you're juggling a wife and what she wants to spend and what you want to do and what the kids need and the office and all those things, the number one most important characteristic you need to have is ivri. You have to be able to say, oh, everyone's going and hanging out over there. I'm not going. Everyone talks this way to their co-workers, men or women. I don't talk that way. Every person uses these words. I don't use those words because I am an ivri. The characteristic you need to have when you're in yeshiva is to be part of the yeshiva. The characteristic you need to have when you leave yeshiva is to know how to separate from things as they come. Because you're not just done when you're 20 years old. The challenges and the trickery comes at any time. I'll give you a little example. So a few years ago, I was flying to Chicago. Now when I fly, I usually go business class. Just push it because I don't want them stealing my luggage and things like that. You know what I'm talking about? You get on the plane, they look at you, oh, you can't have that. We're taking that to the bottom of the plane. You might see it tomorrow. So I can't do with that. And I'm coming and I'm going very quickly and I have to hit the ground running. So I usually go business class. But 3 years ago, I didn't go business class. So I flew to Chicago from JFK to O'Hare. Regular class. So I got a seat. Another thing, when you're in regular class, somehow you end up like row 35. So I was on row 35, middle seat. And I'm looking all the way back at the plane with whatever they let me have with me. Whatever I have left. Which is pretty much like a book and half a thing of toothpaste, whatever. And I'm walking to the back of the plane. And I sit down, and I'm like, oh, the seat next to me is empty. Right before the doors close, some guy comes in, he sits down next to me. And he pretty much takes up his seat. I don't know what's with me and the mic today. We have a funny relationship. Okay. I guess I'm just going to hold it. He pretty much takes up his seat and half of mine. Okay, this is great. So I'm sitting like this the whole flight. I'm like I'm for sure doing business for this, whatever. But as a grown man, maybe he's 40, 50 years old, grown man, the entire flight, whatever it takes to go to New York to O'Hare, it's like 2 hours. The entire flight, the man was crushing candy. You know what that is? You know this game called Candy Crush? And he's crushing, anyone here know this video game? You don't have this here? You heard of the game? You heard of it? You never heard of it? The Yetzer Hara was never halach by you. That's what? Not at all. It's this video game. 2 hours I'm watching a grown man play a video game and he's crushing candy. I'm like, how did this happen? This not like he was addicted to it from when he was 10. It wasn't around when he was 10. How did this happen? And the whole time I'm just thinking one thing. You're an adult. What are you doing? So, sure enough, like a year later or something, I was flying to Minneapolis. At this point, I pretty much was flying with the pilot. So, I'm sitting in the front of the plane, and the guy comes on the plane. 40, 50 years old, from men, Yamagon sits us out. And sure enough, he's also crushing candy. The whole flight. I'm like, are you that guy's brother? The whole flight. I went to Panama a week after that, and I was making a speech, and there was another Rabbi there also, he's speaking, and I mentioned this. 2 days later, he sends me a text message. He says, Joe, you have to see this. I said, what? He says, I'm on a flight to London, and the person sitting next to me is crushing candy. How does this happen? You're an adult. The answer is when we're an adult, we let our guard down. Because when we're kids, we're warned and we're told, and we're warned and we're told. And now all of a sudden we're in an office, and we have a lady who's a secretary, and we have to interact with her. So we think we just keep interacting, and we have no clue. We have a waiting room in our office, so we have to put magazines. So we put all kinds of magazines, and we don't even realize. Maybe we're selling products, so we have to have mannequins or whatever is in the office, and then let it stand there, and let it look however it looks, and put on it whatever we put on it. We're like, that's what business is. And we don't realize the Yetzer Hara is halach when you're 30, 40, 50, 60 also. And the Yetzer Hara comes in and somehow wants to pull you in. At any point, the strength and the conviction you need to have more than anything else is to be an Ivri. It's to be able to stand on the other side of the river and say, that's not me. In fact, whenever I go away on a vacation, which is not often enough, we like to go out. I don't usually come here to Florida. I like to go to somewhere where there's no people. As long as I have to wear a tie, it's not a vacation. So I'm trying to go someplace where I don't have to. And we're at one resort one time, and my wife said to me, my wife likes to have a lot of fun. So my wife says to me, they offer in this resort a free lesson on surfing. Surfing. You heard of that? Okay. She said, do you want to take the lesson? Me, I've heard, do you want to take the lesson? I said, no, not really. She says, why not? It's fun, you'll have a good time. It's surfing, it's an hour lesson. I said, first of all, I have no interest in surfing. That's A. B is, you know why? I understand I'm in my 40s, but you never know. Next thing you know, I'm going to become a whole surfer. And I'm going to be all interested. You ever see these surfers? It's a whole thing. The waves, which waves they have. They're waking up early because of their waves. I don't need to get pulled in. She says, what do you mean you're an adult? I said, I know. But it doesn't change at any age. We're always susceptible. And the problem is so often we think we're not. And we let our guard down. You're working in an office every day. You're under a lot of pressure. You have a lot of things going on. And next thing you know, you're on a website and you shouldn't be on. And you're like, 1 second. No. I have to protect myself from this too. Whether it's filters in the office, whether it's careful about the magazines that are in the office, whether it's careful how you talk to people in the office, whether it's careful on the business trips you go to, and if you go on those trips, where you stay and how you function. They didn't tell you about this when you're in 11th grade. But this is the skill that's required at this stage in your life. The skill to be an Ivri. The skill to be able to stand on the other side of the river and be part of the company to some degree, or be part of the other employees to some degree, to be kind and nice and friendly, but still on the other side. In fact, Avraham Avinu was the man who was the Ish HaChesed. He was the man who inspired so many other people, but was still an Ivri. That's the skill set that's required of us today. I didn't even touch anything. Is this like electric? The podium? Am I holding it wrong? No. Okay. So you lowered the volume? Okay.
Microphones in Florida, not like they are in New York.
By the way, all over the place. If anyone wants to go into a business, by the way, get the microphones right, you'll be a billionaire. I'm just telling you, I've never worked with microphones that really, then the battery breaks, it stops in the middle, makes noises like just did.
Don't give any ideas.
Don't give any ideas. What do you mean? Maybe you go into the business and oh, then don't tell the microphone, I got it. Don't be, whatever. Okay. I'll tip up. I'll give you one more example. I got a game in my house. We have a house in Deal in the summer. I got a Pac-Man game. Now, Pac-Man is fairly innocent. And we got it like it stands on a ledge. So it's very, like you can't really get that pulled in. And, my little son, he's going to enjoy it. Very nice. And sure enough, throughout the summer, he played on and off. He played, he didn't play. Now I'm talking to myself. Should I just talk straight? Well, you're in the second row. It's easy for you to say. I really feel bad. I'm putting you in so much pressure. You get what? That's good? I said it's going to die, you die, Tucker. Okay. Wow. I guess through the microphone, Mashiach's going to come. Is he going to come? I want everything to come out true. So anyhow, what was I saying? So I got this Pac-Man game, and I had it all worked out that I should be careful that my son, he's 11, he shouldn't get too attached, and Baruch Hashem, he really didn't get too attached. But somehow over Ben Azmanim, my two son-in-laws were in some kind of Pac-Man war. One was playing, his score was 85,000, the other guy for 2 weeks was playing every day to try to beat, and they're Masmidim, they're B'nai Torah, they're falling all in. I said, what are you doing? What are you sitting here? He said, no, my brother-in-law got 90,000. I got after 95. What? He says, you know how complicated Pac-Man is? I said, complicated? But he never thought, when he's 25 years old, coming to his first house that's a rov, that there's a Nisayan sitting there in the den. He never thought. Because we all think that at some point we are what we are. The point of coming here for these 2 days is to recognize that it doesn't work that way. It's to recognize that our guard has to be up, our focus needs to be great, and the truth is, in many cases, this is where you create your greatness. I noticed something, I don't know what to do with this observation, but it's powerful. In all the nisyonos that we see from Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, we don't see that much, at least specifically in the Torah, we don't see that much about the challenges they had in the Beis Medrash. Instead, the Torah tells us about their greatness, of the challenges they had out on the field. The challenges they had interacting with people, the challenges they had at war, the challenges they had in business. Because those challenges sometimes are so hard and therefore have inside of it so much opportunity for greatness. You might be an incredible person, 6 years learning in Kollel. You say, wow, I'm a masmid, I'm great. But there's a lot of greatness that's built 10, 20 years being in the workforce. Because being in the workforce and avoiding that and saying no to that and being careful from that and being every over here, interacting here but not using those words is very hard. And that's where greatness lies. But how do you achieve it? The way you achieve it is very simple. The Gemara says that the first questions that we're going to be asked after 120, what now? After 120 is, in one place the Gemara says the main question is going to be, Kavata itim l'Torah, if you learned. Another place the Gemara says the main question is going to be, the first question is going to be, Nasata v'nasata b'emunah, did you work with honesty? And the second question is, Kavata itim l'Torah. Which one comes first? The answer is this, and there are a number of them, but the answer is this. The answer is that Kavat Itam L'Torah sets up and builds the whole thing. But now, once you're Kavat Itam L'Torah, we need to see that it's real. So the way we see that it's real is, let's see first, Nasata v'Nasata b'Emunah. Did you work with honesty? Did you work like a Ben Torah? That's reflected by the second question, Kavat Itam L'Torah. It's reflected by the main question, Kavat Itam L'Torah. The Kavat Itam is all powerful, not just when you learn mikviyas, but it's powerful when it then changes how you work. And that's the goal. The people I'm looking at in front of me in this room are all people that are part of this color because you're kavat itim l'Torah. If it's the morning, if it's the night, you're kaveya yourself in learning, which is incredible. But that therefore has to change how you are in the office. I want to show you a beautiful idea. When we talk about someone who's learned, we talk about someone who's involved in Torah. We don't call him a Talmud of Torah. Instead, we call him a Ben Torah. What does it mean, a Ben Torah? The son of Torah. What does it mean, the son of Torah? It sounds like a unique phrase. The answer is, you are your father's son wherever you go. There's nowhere in the world that you could go that you are not your father's son. My father was nifter a year and a half ago, and I am still my father's son. Because there's no place you could go that you're not the son of your father. A person who's kavat itim l'Torah properly becomes a Ben Torah, which means wherever he is, Torah is with him. In the office, in the meetings, in the conference room, on the plane, overseas, in different interactions, dealing with Jews, dealing with non-Jews, dealing with irreligious Jews, dealing with men, dealing with women. Every single component of their day, they are a Ben Torah. They're the son of Torah as much as they are the son of their father. Every minute, every day, every place, Torah is their essence. And that's what's accomplished here. You know, Labor Day is whenever they decided to make Labor Day be. But it also happens to be, this year and in most years, in the beginning of Elul. Which means it's a time where you're not just coming to learn for 2 days. They came yesterday also. You're not just coming to learn for 2 days, but you're coming to set up your life. You're coming to set up your year. You're coming to empower your Elul and therefore make and establish who you are when you go back to the office tomorrow morning. Which leaves me with one last little story, and with this I'll conclude. And this, they say, is a true story. In fact, I read this story in a secular source. When I read it, I was like, wow, the message in this story is so powerful and so important and so Jewish. You know, for many years, the kings of France, they all had the same name. You know the name of the king of France? Do you know any names? Louis, very good. So King Louis. You should have heard of him. You didn't hear a Candy Crush, but you should remember him. Okay. So, by the way, thank you for being a good sport and for playing with me. And I apologize for this back and forth, but we're having a good time. Where are we going next, by the way? Because we're doing good. King Louis. I think One of the most famous ones was like King Louis XV. He was married to Marie Antoinette, and there was a rebellion, and he and his wife were taken to the guillotine, and they were executed. But now the rebels had a problem. The problem that the rebels had is that there was a little boy that was the son of this King Louis XV. What was his name? Louis. So now he's Louis. He's like 8, 9 years old. What do we do with this kid? We can't kill him. He's a kid. But we can't keep him alive because in a year from now or 10 years from now, he's going to decide that he's the king the 16th. So they had this big debate. What do? We can't kill him. We can't keep him alive. Finally, the rebels came up with a suggestion. They said, we're going to take this boy, we're going to put him on an island. And on this island, we're going to give him everything a kid could want. Every drink, every drug, every food, every substance, every distraction, everything. And hopefully, while he's here, he'll indulge and indulge and indulge until he's unfit to be a king. It was a great idea. They left him on the island, made it the biggest party place in the world, and they left him there for months. 6 months later, the rebels came back, and they looked around and they realized this little Louis hadn't touched a thing. Had not touched a thing. Had not touched a thing. Clear enough? Do we need another mic? And they asked him, I don't understand. You had everything in front of you, every candy, every drink. You could stay up as long as you want. You could wake up whenever you want. You could have as much fun as you want. You could party as much as you want. You had everything here. Why didn't you touch it? Listen to his answer. This answer should be in the mind of every Jew every single day they wake up in the morning. Every single place they are, no matter what they're surrounded by. Here's what he said. He said, I'm sorry, I couldn't do what you asked because I was born to be a king. That's our mindset. That's our conviction. I was born to be a king. The world will try to convince you. The world will beg you. The world will tell you, everybody's doing this. Of course you have to be part of this. You think you're going to keep your job if you don't go to that event and that party and don't talk to that person? You think you're going to be all stiff? You think you're going to be all serious? You think you could say you do this and you don't do that? It's bad enough you don't come, you leave early on Fridays in the winter. You have all other things you want to ask too. You can't do that. Maybe no one says it, maybe your brain says it to you. But the reality is that the day you left yeshiva, the most important quality we need to have, that you need to have, that I need to have, that we all need to have, is the quality of Avraham Avinu to be an Ivri. To be able to see the Yetzer Hara as he's halach and potentially Omar and then Yashav, and be able to say, I am on the other side of the river from you. I have nothing to do with you. Whether you come to me when I'm 15 years old or you come at me when I'm 60 years old, I am not participating. Because you know why? I am Kaveh Itim L'Torah. I am a person that Torah emanates throughout everything in my life. I am a Ben Torah. And when that's my mindset, and if that's how I establish my year, and that's how I establish my office, and that's how I establish my everyday, and that's how I establish my vacations, and that's how I establish every single thing I do, then every night you could think, and every morning you could wake up with a conviction that says, you know what? I may not be in yeshiva anymore, but I have incredible tests and incredible nisyanis, and I have the power and the conviction to withstand them all, because I was born to be a king. Thank you. Really, thank you. Thank you.